There we go.
There we go.
It's already blowing our face up like that. Jeez. We're waiting on the eighth wonder of the world, Kyle. He has no idea what time is. So, oh man. All right, for everyone listening, we're gonna go over kind of how our season's been. We've had a pretty good season. Well, I don't know about me, but the other two have, and we're gonna go over that and then answer questions. So Kyle's popping up here at the bottom, so he'll be on here in a second.
Cal.
Yeah, man, this wind is crazy.
It's gonna be windy tomorrow too. Do you see next Thursday?
The low is at 40 or highs at 40.
Yeah, highs of 40, lows in the 20s, and Friday too. They did show snow for a second on Thursday.
That'd be a dream.
But
I wish it'd be more like on Friday or Saturday. So I can see if homeboy. You ready? There he is.
Sorry. You got distracted.
Yeah. So, all right. So we haven't been on in a while. Like I said, we've all had some pretty fun hunts. Pretty exciting year. So kind of ready to share the stories with y'all. Got some good footage. So, yep. First comment is Tanner Rust. What's up, buddy? He said, you got a goose field lined up for Saturday. That's something we haven't done at all.
we did. I did confirm we do have that one place back, Taylor, when you asked me if we had it back.
Yeah.
I did make sure we did. We did lose the smaller one, but the bigger one we have.
Okay.
You know,
I just never heard anything, so I was like, man, I'm going to ask.
I thought we had it, and I made sure last night I talking to Dad, and he's like, yeah, we can still hunt it. I'm like, well, thank the Lord, because you know what I mean? But at least we have like a backup.
Right.
You know? So we can at least go shoot like 15 canvas backs or something stupid, you know.
A person, right? Just kidding.
Probably could if we were good shots. They're fast.
Yeah, we need to get out there. I don't think this potentially is the latest we've ever been of not chasing ducks. So
I'll go look tomorrow, I guess. Dad wants to maybe go duck hunting Saturday, but you're probably deer hunting.
I don't know. Hold on, I got to mute myself. I need to undo this wire.
There's a lot of ducks at Pawnee.
All right.
In the Pawnee area.
There's a lot on the Missouri River in Bismarck, North Dakota, if we want to go up there.
Leaf night or what?
Which is crazy. They're still even. I mean, I guess it's not like snow packed, but you'd have thought some might be.
So I found there's I can't remember what lake it is, but there's like a hydroelectric generation dam there. So the water that's discharging is warm, kind of like Sooner setup, and keeps the ice from forming on the river. And so like all those tailwaters stay freed up. And my buddy was like, we have geese and ducks here that it's not as far south as they make it, but they definitely hang around a lot longer than people think.
Tommy on Instagram said they're going out in Stillwater tomorrow. Good luck, Tommy. It'll be warm. Sorry, I'm putting a note.
I miss those days going out during the week.
Say what?
I miss those days going out during the week.
Yeah.
We used to grind and walk circles around people.
If you're on Instagram, I don't know what happens with our comments on there, but people post them and then they leave the atmosphere. So, yeah. So if you're on Instagram trying to say stuff and we're not replying, it's not because we're ignoring you. And now it's frozen over there. So you might not even get to see this. Steve commented, said, might know Might know a good wood duck call. Hey, I might know where one is too, Steve. And then William Ashley Bodie said, "Good evening, gentlemen." Good evening, William. How's your season been going? Oklahoma Heroes and Outdoors said, "What's going on, gentlemen? Nothing much. Looks like you guys have a pretty good season, so keep it up. Love watching y'all stuff." If you're a first responder or a veteran and you're looking for a hunt or fishing trip, check these people out. And there's probably 4 or 5 different other platforms across Oklahoma, and they connect first responders and veterans to go and give them free trips. So definitely take advantage of that. You guys deserve it. And it also helps you guys meet other friends and kind of connect with people that have been through what you guys have been through. So Gunner and I have helped several times with Operation Freedom Outdoors. And I can say just the connections between the people that are there, that they come there as strangers and leave as best friends. It's pretty cool to watch. So definitely take advantage of that. I'm pretty sure if you go on Oklahoma Hero Outdoors or any of the other ones, you can probably find out what you have to do on their website. But it's pretty much, you just have to email a couple things and then you're put in for all the drawings. So like I said, definitely check that out. So, all right. So like I said, we've all had a pretty good season. I'm trying to think about what went down first. I know September, we've talked about that several times. Real quick, I'm going to move Kyle up here. I can't see him on my screen. But Kansas, I got done in Kansas. And then Kyle, was that?
Kyle was first.
Ooh, was Kyle first?
Yeah,
was it his draw first? No, you harvested that.
It was the Salt Plains draw, and then we hunted until Wednesday, and then Thursday I was back on my ground.
Well, you harvested that deer before that draw, right?
No, the Thursday following. So I hunted Monday, Tuesday, and then half day Wednesday. Half day Monday, all day Tuesday, half day Wednesday, basically at on that draw, and then back in the stand Thursday at home.
So once again, Instagram. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kyle, but if you're commenting on Instagram, I just made a post on there and pinned it, but it's frozen. We're not ignoring you. We can't see it. So if you would, if you have something to ask or something, pop on to YouTube or Facebook. Oh, excuse me, Facebook. I don't know why Instagram is weird. So anyways, before we get into it, a couple more comments. William Ashley Bodie said, only been a few times, too busy chasing the boy around or to wrestling tournaments, passed up a couple decent bucks, haven't shot at anything yet. So, well, maybe it'll happen in late season.
Yeah.
He's got holiday too.
If you're gonna sacrifice any time in the woods, at least it's for a wrestling tournament for your boy. That's cool.
Yeah, basketball's not that.
I would have probably said the same thing, but a little partial, but that's all right.
All right.
Thomas, however you say it, I hear it a million times. Every time someone says your name different, it says a heart y'all. We heart y'all too, Thomas.
That's a neck shooting fool right there with his bow.
So Thomas actually puts on the Oklahoma Heroes Outdoors hunts or helps them, and he's been with us on a few hunts. So we've got to know him pretty well, and he's actually been on podcasts. So check that out. But no, let's go ahead and start into it. Kyle, kind of break down your draw hunt and let us know how it went.
Yeah, so pretty fortunate to not only put in for the the wildlife department draw hunts, drew Salt Plains Wilderness Area tag this year. Actually my second time in my life to draw that specific tag, and they changed it's probably about 12, 13 years ago whenever I drew last, maybe a little bit longer, give or take, but was told about a decade ago they changed it to where is basically essentially kind of like the earn a buck model, to where you had to kill an antlerless prior to having your buck tag activated, where in the past it was just any deer, any whitetail tag, right? So one deer, this one, 2 deer, first one being antlerless. And we got going, checked in, 10 a.m. briefing, hit the unit around noon that day after we got done with the Rangers and all that. Kind of knew where he wanted to be. Weather really wasn't cooperating. It was like 35, 40 mile an hour sustained winds on that Monday. Basically the rest of the evening. It had just rained like 2.5, 3 inches that Sunday prior. So super wet, super sloppy. If you guys don't know, that area is kind of swampy, boggy, a lot of creeks that are normally pretty low level, if not dry creek bed type ground, a lot of salt cedar, different things. It's a pretty physically demanding hunt from a standpoint of, you're not dealing with elevation or anything like that, but it's a large area to cover, a lot of walking, not really a whole lot of aspects of being able to get up in glass and those kind of things. Pretty flat for the most part. But long story short, wasn't able to get on an antlerless deer. And my dad was with me as well. He drew out. We drew out together and struggled to find an antlerless deer or really any deer on that Monday just due to the weather and those kind of things. Tuesday, the exact opposite. It was like perfect conditions. And my luck, all I'm seeing is studs for that the better half of probably 2/3 of that whole day. Between probably, I don't know, 8:30 and really 10:30, 11 o'clock, I had seen 7 bucks, 2 of them being studs, like 140, 150 plus. The further one, he was 350, 400 yards, didn't stick around too long, but he was really nice. And then the other one being a really nice 8-point, pretty similar to one my dad killed the last time we drew a number of years ago. But struggled with that. Actually didn't see an antlerless deer until that evening. I was able to get one down, and then we had until 2 p.m. we had to be signed out on that Wednesday, and all I saw was pretty much a scrub buck that I kind of wish I would have dumped that morning, but it just kind of, I don't know, things kind of happen backwards, I guess, which is part of it. Still a super, super cool experience, especially getting to do it with my dad. That's the most important thing for me, especially as I've gotten older, as he's gotten older. Really blessed in that aspect that we were able to share that time together. And to me, it's, I don't know, it's more than just being successful from a harvest standpoint, and pretty special deal in my eyes. And I know he would have liked to have seen me. He cared more about me shooting deer still. And heck, I'm 31 years old and he still treats me like I'm 12, whenever we're hunting. He's just like, you shoot it, whatever. And we did split up quite a bit, but he was with me whenever I shot that doe on that Tuesday evening. And it's those kind of things that are going to stick with you. Obviously it would have been super cool that, if I'd have got a buck on the ground, but to me, it's spending time with him and just being there. I don't even care if we see anything, or even if I hadn't shot that doe, and had the opportunity to shoot a buck on Wednesday. Like it's those kind of things that don't really matter in the grand scheme. So
right.
Super fortunate there.
Yeah, the kind of crazy deal is like you said, he had to shoot antlerless deer, so doe first, or I guess a buck it could be if it didn't have antlers. But a guy there actually, didn't he shoot a buck before he shot doe and try to lie his way out?
Yeah, I don't know really what the full story ended up being, but that evening that I shot the doe, one of the rangers had said that there was a guy they were dealing with, basically, that allegedly had shot at a doe, but even if he did, like, their ruling basically for us was there was a single point of contact. They gave us, this one ranger's number essentially, and you had cell service in the unit and stuff, so there's no excuse there. But you basically had to harvest the antlerless deer, so doe or, a buck that's whatever, under the legal requirement to be a antlered deer there. So he said he shot at a doe, or we were supposed to harvest the doe, take a picture of it with you in the photo, with your name and all that, and then basically they respond back, thumbs up, green light, whatever for your buck tag, right? So, or they said you can, if it's bang bang, like if you've got a doe and a buck that are together or whatever, or you shoot a doe and before you get there, a buck steps out and you shoot that buck, you just have to be 100% sure that your doe is down, and before you pull the trigger on a buck is basically their methodology. So you see the doe drop in her tracks, whatever. I don't know. You don't have your phone, whatever. Like you just have to be 100% sure. Like there's no discrepancies essentially. Well, long story short, the story was he shot at a doe and saw it fall. And then the buck was standing right by her side, and it was a big 6x5 or something. Never got to see the buck, but I guess it was huge. And he shot the buck, and the buck dropped. He was able to recover the buck and went over to where the doe was standing and allegedly fell, and there was nothing there, and no blood, no anything. And so it's like your story is kind of getting murky here, to some degree. And I don't know what ended up happening, but it kind of was frustrating in that aspect of, I hope it all worked out. I don't want, if it was legit, I don't want somebody to be penalized too harshly, but at the same time, like for somebody that was actually following the rules, and probably I'm going to definitely err in those kind of situations on the extreme safe side to make sure that, that I've got the green light, especially if it's a, not only a, Oklahoma Wildlife Department area, but it's a federally managed area as well. So when you're dealing with any aspect, like obviously, yes, follow the law, but definitely erring on the extreme side of caution that I was. Yeah, I mean, I waited until I had a picture sent with me, my name, all that, before I got the green light. And so it sucks. I mean, I don't know what ended up happening, but
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things. It's like, you never know. I mean, a lot of guys get in situations and make poor decisions, probably.
Right. So I typed in illegal deer shot on Salt Plains, and this actually came up right here. So there's actually the buck that was shot. This kid, no.
That was Ohio.
Yeah, I know. I was joking. So did you guys see that though?
I did.
Yeah,
I saw
he got put through the ringer.
I don't know if it's the ringer, but he definitely got it given to him.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about it more here in a little bit, but we're actually starting a new series. If I can get this off my screen.
It's called Local Legends, and that dude's going to be our first guest.
In 180 days. He's actually freshly out of jail. He's going to be on there.
We're going to get his actual story because he was framed.
Yeah.
That's what I was told.
Yeah, that's funny.
He told me personally that he was framed.
So, real quick. Yeah, Tommy said he almost has 40,000 to pay back. I guess I have it pulled up right here on my phone. It says serve 180 days in jail with 90 days suspended and the other 90 days served at the Starr Community Justice Center before he can be eligible for work release. Then he has to serve 5 years of community control. He has to pay $39,696.73. Don't know why they couldn't just round up 40 or 39,700, but and then he has to pay $1,000 in restitution to the poaching hotline and $1,000 wildlife fine and court costs.
Woo!
And he has enter a 4 to 6 month community-based program through the Starr Community Justice Center. He has to write letters of apology to the affected parties.
That's probably the worst part. It's like,
yeah, I'm sorry I shot your deal.
That's got to be.
He has to forfeit all hunting-related property seized by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Division of Wildlife as evidence, and he loses his hunting license for a minimum of 10 years.
That's bad, yeah.
Yeah, if full restitution is not paid by then, the license remains revoked until full payment is made.
Wow.
And then the 4 other people that assisted him in taking / covering up poaching the buck were also sentenced. I don't know what, but that's all that's stated right there.
Yeah. I read that same deal this morning.
So, well, I hate to see a deer that any deer be taken that way, and it's sad to see that guy, lie so much. But then it's awesome to see, Ohio, whatever wildlife department of resources, whatever wildlife. I just had to say wildlife like 3 times in their name. See them work so hard to put it to them, and I mean that's pretty promising. So. Real quick, also before we go in more into the season, Johnny Nitro Knight, any relation, Kyle?
I don't think so.
He asked if EHD has hit us hard. It's hit him hard in Michigan. So, one of you two want to cover that?
I think we've had EHD hit us hard in the past. I think the EHD strains that are currently in the population, I think our deer are very tolerant to those right now. But so we haven't just been, just smoked. But if another strain comes in, it'll hit us. I mean, we're just one strain away right now from getting smoked. But I think a lot of them that are going through our herds right now, they're pretty, adaptive too. At least that's what I've been told by several different people that would know something like that. But about that, but.
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate. Another thing that's pretty crazy is I didn't know this, but I guess CWD hit Kansas pretty hard in the area we hunted, which was northwest kind of area, I guess.
That's what
I didn't know that. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are saying that, so I haven't really read or anything or looked it up.
Yeah,
but,
there's a couple counties out west, like specific northwest, like Panhandle type that are under a watch essentially, to where there's special regs you've got to follow when you check your deer in and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's for CWD or EHD, but I do remember seeing something along those lines, like Texas and Cimarron counties for sure. So in the Panhandle, and then maybe geographically that's just south of maybe a little bit further west, but in the same region, essentially just a bit south of your guys' Kansas areas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the testing here is for CWD, and Gunner, if I'm wrong, you can correct me.
No, you're right. They're picking. It's gonna hit us eventually. We're gonna get a wave of it at some point. I don't know when, but they're kind of gearing up for it right now. They're trying to mitigate it as best they can. But it's coming.
Kansas City News posted February 13th of last year, or of this year, sorry, that majority of CW cases are located in the western half of the state. And the farther west you go, the harder it's been hitting them. So I didn't even know that. Wish I'd known that before we drew out, but it played out for me. But everyone else, I don't know what's going out there. They're seeing, we didn't see that many deer. We just found the one, I guess.
Yeah.
We had we were finding deer, but I told you about it the whole time, but it was just pulling teeth at times. Yeah. We went 3 hunts in a row, not seeing nothing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not used to that, obviously.
So real quick, we'll go with another comment. Richard Davis said, "Hello, gentlemen. What's up, buddy?" Richard's had a great year. So
it's time to. So your baby's gonna get. I'm trying to think. Is he tagged out?
I don't think he's tagged out.
I was gonna make a joke about you see those people with the babies, yeah, the youth season.
But so Kyle went down Salt Plains, had pretty good hunt, like you just said, and then another crazy story I actually got to be a part of. You can go ahead and talk about when you got back, what happened.
Yeah, so got back that Wednesday afternoon, evening, and then back out Thursday. I just went out Thursday evening. So a little backstory, been after the same deer for 2 years. It's kind of one of those deals where he doesn't necessarily summer on me, but he shows up, around Halloween seems to be his coming out party, that kind of time frame every year. And then he's on me for the duration, but super nocturnal deer. Over the course of 2 years, only really had a handful of daylight photos, either him bumping does or cruising, those kind of things. So, big deer don't get big for any reason other than stuff like that, right? Intelligence and being nocturnal and being smart about their travel patterns for sure. But like we all know, the rut can make the most intelligent seasoned buck kind of dumb. So long story short, was after that deer. Had a really good evening. Wind was great. I had 9 does I hunt about, it's river bottom ground, but I've got a 3 to 4 acre food plot that I plant every year. I plant a couple food plots on that property, and hunting one of my favorite stands that I like to hunt this time of year where a lot of does frequent. And so then the bucks are cruising the tree line edge on the riverside, come in, check them does. It's just an awesome spot, good vantage point. You can see for a good distance, and it's awesome. So had them 9 does come out about 4:45. And then, so that's pretty intense there with that many live decoys out in front of you. You definitely think something good's gonna happen. Well, I had some commotion to my left, kind of a finger of trees that the deer frequent whenever they're coming and going to that food plot. And I saw this doe initially, and she was kind of acting, like something was behind her, looking back, all that. And then boom, within 5-10 seconds, I saw a stud, and which I thought was the deer and I'll get into that. I thought was the deer that I've been after for 2 years, and ended up all coming together. That doe bumped out, came out perfect between 35 and 40 yards. I shoot a single pin movable sight, the Spot Hog Fast Eddie. I've actually got 2 pins that I have. It's got a multi designation on the wheel and stuff like that. But I moved my slider to 40 yards, and he came out same window between 35 and 40. I was able to draw. Everything was good. Soft little grunt, stopped him, and he was definitely right hot on that doe. Stopped him in that 35, 40-yard mark, held it just a tad low, and just made a great shot. And then the pandemonium started, where I'm freaking out because I don't know. I was pumped. I mean, being after a deer like that, it was incredible from the standpoint of that long. I know a lot of guys, 3, 4, 5 years, but just where I hunt, to have a deer like that and have a deer like that survive as long as he did, being that mature and that nice, is definitely special. And was able to get that deer down. Knew I smoked him, and then I'm calling Taylor, calling my dad, calling everybody, and ended up waiting until I went down after dark, shot him about 5. It was like 5:05, 5:06. So still had, 35, 40 minutes of shooting light there. Sat through the rest of that. That sucked. Anticipation was definitely eating at me. So I had a really, really good feeling that he was down, but got down, went and collected my arrow, went to town, kind of gathered myself a bit, and then waited for Taylor and another buddy to show up, and then the real fun happened. So arrow looked good, and like I said, I knew the impact was great, and yeah, I knew he was dead, or had a really good feeling. But as we all know, I mean, bow hunting is definitely a different. It's a game of inches, and you know, you never know how deer are going to react. And that specific, really a lot of my encounters over the years, just bow hunting and the close proximity that they have to be, and hunting the rut like that, things happen immensely fast. And especially where I'm at, you know, deer appear out of nowhere. And especially when you've got, you know, nine does, and that 10th one being the one that drew him out, you know, that he was tailing was pretty crazy. I mean, I had all them animals out there, and definitely didn't want to get pinned down by one of them trying to draw or something like that, and then the whole thing's blown apart, you know. So but yeah, so Taylor and our buddy Sam came out, and we were able to track him, and it was a pretty short track job, and super pumped to shoot a deer of that caliber. I'm pretty sure it's my best bow buck to date. Probably my best deer to date, actually. So, and
Yeah, you're leaving out a lot of the good topics.
what's
This dude texted me at like 5:05 and said he's dead.
Yeah. No,
didn't reply for me for 20 freaking minutes.
I couldn't even hold my phone, dude.
I said, "What are you talking about?" Oh, we're having a fall in here. I said, "What are you even talking about?" And I was like, "We named this one Bradford." Hold on. Had a little fall over in my light. We named this one Bradford, and he's like, then finally he's like, Bradford. And I was like, you shot him? He's like, yes. And I was like, oh, snap. You know, I was like, I'll be right over there. And I was cruising by where I'd make a turn with Sam's house, and I texted him and said, Kyle just smoked that giant. And he was like, please pick me up. So I just reached in and grabbed him, and I kind of want some of the video too. Anyway, so we went and got him, and the whole way there, we're like, I can't wait to see this deer. I mean, we all three here know how big this deer is, right? And I mean, like, you don't, let me rephrase that. You don't see a deer as wide as the one that Kyle has on him. And so we're like, we can't wait. And I'm looking through the pictures, and I'm like, man, I can't believe it all finally happened. So we go down there, and of course, instantly blood, went 40 yards?
Yeah, something like that.
And it was weird. He like ran in a circle and then came back and tipped over. It looked like, because there was 5 or 6.
Yeah, spraying blood everywhere, and double lungs for sure. But
and the Kyle picks it up, and I just freeze. And Kyle like looked at me, and I could tell he was like looking at me like, why aren't you, just like freaking out? And I was like, Kyle, that's not Bradford. And he's like, what? So we pull up another picture and look at it, and then we're like, yeah, it is. Same crab claws, right? So I'll show you a picture in a minute of his deer. And he kept holding it, and I saw the eye guards on it. Well, take it back, a week ago or a week before that, when the rainstorm came through?
Yeah.
And Kyle had a deer come in, 20 yards? I guess you can tell that part.
Yeah. Which one?
The one that in the middle of the rain.
Oh, yeah. Hunting in the – so I was hunting a different stand, actually, and it was when we had, that crazy – it was in that window of when we had crazy, like 10 inches plus of rain within a week time span. And I had deer all over me all night, smaller bucks, some really nice, 3.5-year-old 8-point type deer. Actually, a really cool deer that I haven't seen post rifle yet on camera, but I hope he made it. He was a cool double throat patch, mainframe 8. That's really nice. Yeah, so he was around me all night, bumping does, acting kind of goofy. They were definitely froggy, but it was full on downpour, and it's getting late. Only probably 20 or 30 minutes left of the light, and I catch a glimpse. So he was pinned. This buck was pinned 20 yards from me, just staring to the north. It'd be the northwest, down this little road. And there's a lot of like saplings and stuff like that along this road. A lot of we had a really bad flood in 2019, so there's a lot of saplings that are growing just because of all the dirt and sediment and everything like that was washed up and brought into my place. But he was just pinned. Well, I get the binos out and I'm pinned looking down there as well. Like, what the heck is he staring at? Like, there's definitely another buck down there or something, something good is about to happen. And it was one of those nights that you never knew it was going to happen. And that's every night, but just the way the deer were moving and all that. And I see this freaking stud of a deer. I mean, he made that little 8-point. I mean, yeah, he's every bit of 120 inches or so. I mean, he's not a bad deer. He's just young, and this deer dwarfed him. I mean, and all I see is antlers just absolutely raking one of those saplings, and that deer raked the sapling, and they're back and forth. That little buck walked down to him. And then he kind of disappeared. Didn't see much commotion or anything like that. He probably just skirted him, and he's gone. Well, then I see these antlers through the saplings, and like I said, it was full on downpour to where I could barely make out what I could make out, and just see these antlers and this body moving towards me. And he was probably 100 yards at this point, through some thick cover. Well, he gets to like 40, but he's a stud. And I thought it was Bradford that night too, because like Taylor said, this deer that I shot, like extreme characteristics, very similar, if not identical, almost identical to Bradford, but not as wide. But he's still wide, just not as wide. And then his main beams kind of come closer together, and that was the up front, and that was the telltale sign, right? And then the brow tines as well, because Bradford ended up busting off his brow tines this year. So that was a couple weeks ago he did that, or 3 weeks ago. But just a crazy deal. I thought this deer, I knew where he was going to go. I thought I knew where he was going to go, and he was going to walk out into one of my other plots, basically in between these two cedar tree type thicket, this thicket area, and it's kind of an opening, and a lot of deer come right through there. And where he was at, he was headed right to it. Well, there's a Y in the tree behind me, so I'm staring at this deer in the Y of the tree, and he's 40 yards behind me, pretty much dead even with that trail, and all he's got to do is start working right. Well, and all that time, I grab my bow off the hanger. I'm ready to rock. It's a perfect 30-yard shot. He's going to get smoked, and I'm soaking wet. I mean, it's terrible. That's the wettest I've ever been deer hunting in a long time, and it's full on downpour. And all this is happening, so that downpour really, not that I was making a lot of noise, but it definitely helped me as well, muffle my sound. But at the same time, I couldn't hear him walking. So, and there's a lot of fallen leaves and stuff like that in that area. So it sucked in that aspect. And I got ready for him to come out just perfect. Well, then 5 minutes go by and he never came out. It's like, what the heck? So then I'm looking back through the Y and I can't find him. And by this time it's getting darker and darker, and there's 5-10 minutes left of shooting light, and I never did find him again. Never did see him again that evening. He kind of slipped out, but in that time frame, there was 2 does that were out on the plot, and they kind of walked back into this thicket in the direction that I think he went, and he went to cut them off, and stayed behind the tree that I was hunting. And it's a huge tree to where there was no way that I could get on him. And that's what he had to do. I mean, there's no way he heard me. There's no way he winded me. The wind was good. I just, kind of one of them things that it didn't come together that night, but super cool encounter. Definitely a fun hunt, and definitely glad that I sucked it up and sat through the rain. Which is part of it.
Yeah. So like I said, fast forward, we go find him, and I'm like, oh, that's not him. And then it's like, wait, it is him. He has the same crab claws. And I was like, no, Bradford only has one little eye guard because he broke the other one off and half this other one. And come to find out, like we all three share our photos, like back and forth. All year we've shared the photos of this 10-point, but he looks from the side, looks just like Bradford that we never knew until he shot it, and then we found it, and I was like, holy cow, this whole year you've had 260-inch deer. Bradford will be a little bit more than 160, but on you, and we only thought there was one. So that was kind of a cool deal. I'll show you guys.
Yeah, it was a great I don't know. It was I thought the journey was over, but it had only just begun.
Yeah. So this is his small one. So that's what's crazy is this is what you're going to call your small one. But no, heck of a deer. Like I said, I've told Kyle this 100 times. I'm not taking anything from this deer because this deer is a stud. But wait till Bradford falls.
Yeah. No
So,
joke.
but yeah, imagine that being your smallest deer. Or your smallest of the two being 100. What did you score him? 165?
Yeah, he was right there, right just over 160. But I could have. I was being a little frugal with it and not. I've got a raculator, but like I said, I'm not a professional by any means.
Right.
So.
We do need to get a score sheet on him and submit it, and then submit your picture with Tacticam because that competition we're in is doing monthly giveaways if you have a picture of them on Tacticam and you shoot them. So
yeah, I saw that.
So we need to make a score sheet. So real quick, we're going to run through some more comments. Mike Epps, what's up, buddy? I work with him. We got in the storm together and been riding it out, but we're doing fine now. Tyler Yahtzee, what's up, buddy? He said, hey, guys. Mike Epps said, I work with that dude. He's a heck of a guy. You don't have to lie on here. Cole Collins said, almost coyote time. Sorry, another comment came up. Yeah, we need to get together and get some filming going, Cole. So holler at me. Zach, does he want to try his last name? I remember it. Kyle, you've never had a shot at his last name.
Gauge of whiskey.
Gajowski.
Gajewski.
It's Gajowski.
Gajowski.
He said, evening, fellas. Haven't heard from you in a while, Zach. Hopefully your year made a turnaround. Then here's my uncle. He said, you need to post the piebald spike I shot. You didn't send me a picture, Unc. So send me a picture and I'll post him. So he shot, I want to say 600, 700 yards, shot a piebald spike the last day of season. So I'll post that picture when he sends it to me. But so yeah, Kyle's had a great season. I'm trying to think what rolled on there. Then I thought I upped our season a little better. So one of my target bucks finally came out. Been after this deer. One of the deer I've had. I've never had a deer for. Let me rephrase that. I've had a deer for like 4.5 years, but he went missing for a year. So, but I've never had a deer for 4.5 consecutive years, maybe 5. I'd have to go back and really look. And last year, I've talked about this deer before. He did everything you wanted to do. Right? He survived 2 years ago. 3 years ago, he's actually in the video with my Big 8 that I shoot with my 243 after my wreck. I'm in that blind. If you guys watched it, he's the deer that actually walks up and is trying to fight that 8-point before I shoot him. So I have all this footage of this deer. But man, so I'm trying to jump forward, but I don't want to. So 4.5 years of pictures. This year comes out, or last year. Let's go back to last year. Last year he broke off his rack in velvet. So his rack just says, "Hey, let's make an eye guard 9 inches long and almost go touch his other side." And he made it last year. I mean, crazy thing is he traveled between Gunner, I, and our neighbor Gage. I mean, that was almost 1.5 miles to almost. I mean, really 2 miles, maybe 2.25 if I pulled it up. But anyways, 2.25 he traveled all year, and that's passing other people's. Made it through last year. And so the anticipation for this year, because I thought he was 5.5 last year, was super high. I mean, super high. and wasn't showing up. Gage sent us a picture and was like, "Here he is," and it was a buck that kind of looked like him last year, but man, I stared at this buck. I mean, I put a lot of time looking at this deer, and I was like, no, that's not him. That's not him. And Gage said I was crazy for it, but I just knew in the back of my head, I was like, man, that's not him. There's nothing there that shows that, hey, this is that deer, right? So he finally shows up. It's like 2-3 weeks in season. I text Gunner, and I'm like, Spud's here. And he did everything you wanted. Got super wide. Main beam measurements would have been unreal. Will be unreal if he's still alive. So cat and mouse, pretty much had him daylighting every 3 or 4 days in the mornings. So that was kind of scary because he'd be there right at daylight or a little bit after. So I just knew if I got the if I can talk the right wind, I could slip in there and probably get it done. Well, time came, he hadn't been in there for 2 days. The third day was Saturday, the fourth day was Sunday. So I was like, well, here it is, boys. I got the perfect wind. I mean, this whole time he's done this whole schedule like he's pretty much written his own deathbed right here, right? Didn't show up those mornings. Was it Friday? Yeah, so Friday night before rifle season, I went out. So it wasn't even that Saturday or Sunday. Friday night, I went out and just wanted to see what's going on. The rut was kind of kicking in. And, the rut was fully kicked in, I guess. And lo and behold, I was sitting there, watch this little 4.5-year-old 8-point, beautiful deer, kind of like Kyle's, this really nice, but 4.5, right? So he kind of walks down, and I can see his legs disappear, and then all of a sudden he comes back, and I'm like, dang, that was weird. He walked all the way down there and decided to come right back. Well, somehow, somewhere in there, he passed Spud, and Spud came walking out. So like I'm sitting there watching his legs come up. I'm kind of bent over, kind of looking down under this branch, and all of a sudden I see half of that rack, and I was like, oh my Lord, Spud's here. And to act like any mature deer does when they're comfortable in a spot for so long. I mean, he's been there for 4.5 years and has gone unbothered. Only interaction he's been with for sure is seen of me is when I shot the other one right next to him, right? So he came in, act like king of the woods there, ate. Actually, he ate so long that I Snapchatted a video to our group Snapchat and a couple other people, and they're like, why aren't you shooting him, And I was like, well, he's in my pen. I can't shoot in there. And all of a sudden, another buck comes out. He just jumps and runs that buck off. And I was like, oh, great. He just went out of my life, Well, all of a sudden, he comes back. And long story short, I get him at 20 yards, draw back. He curls his lips and takes a couple more steps, gets out of the picture frame. So I release. There's no wind, 4 does in front of me. I release as slow as I can. No one catches me, which, like I said, no wind. Surprisingly, we all know how these slick heads are here. I get back on him, which I have all the footage. I'll release it in a different video. Get back on him. He gets out to 35. Get back drawn out, grunt, stop, put a shot on him. And I thought the story ended there. I thought the shot, kind of a little high, but I thought the way it sounded and looked, everyone thought it was pretty much a dead deer, right? So we hold out for 3 hours. Gunner meets me there, and I make him and Steve wait for like an hour and a half for Kyle to get there. We roll in, find a first bed. But the thing is it wasn't warm. It was like cold. So I don't think we bumped him, but I think something did out of his first bed. And we tracked probably another 50 yards. I was like, hey, let's back out. It's going to be cold tonight. We'll come back in the morning. Go back in the morning. Nothing. I call a dog in. We track him probably 300 yards on me. I get permission to their place. We go half a mile, corner to corner. I'm trailing him. Some blood before it pretty much dried up when he went to the neighbors. On the way, tracking him across the way, I find a deadhead. I got hold of game warden, got everything to be able to take it back with me. That's a part of the story too. I'll get to here in a second. Get to a corner. I didn't think I had permission to the other corner, so I backed out, called the thermal drone. They said, hey, if he hadn't been eating on the coyotes, like he'd have to be pretty much demolished. We can pick him up and find him. So I said, all right, I've already got the dog out. let's bring you guys in. I mean, I don't want to live thinking that this deer is somewhere alive or dead some out here and I can't find them. They came out, they flew for 3 hours. Super cool thing to watch. If you guys ever need if you've ever questioned the thermal drone deal, definitely it's worth the money. We looked about a mile to a mile and a half each direction. So basically 2 miles, and just searched all over, searched where he ran, searched where I thought he went to, all the way up to the highway, which is a mile and a half. Nothing. We saw every armadillo, raccoon, coyote. I mean, everything you can name of other deer, we found them, but couldn't find him. So I don't know what happened there. Like I said, put on a tough shot, or put on what I thought a good shot, but ended up not being a good one, I guess. And maybe, just maybe, I'm hit, that little V up there, which some people call no man's land. Some people call it the void, but it's literally just like a 2-inch wide and by like 4-inch little area that can go between their lungs and their backbone. And maybe I hit that. I don't know. I don't see it. Still kicked myself down hard about that one. Stopped hunting for a little bit, not because of that deer, is because I had everything lined up and I put on a shot that I knew, or I knew better to angle down. Or he did duck. I forgot to put that in there. He ducked about 6-8 inches in the video, guys, maybe a little more, right as it hit him. So that probably played a little bit of factor in there. But I was more mad at myself that I didn't tuck it and go through my normal routine. And there's a lot of stuff had happened, so I just kind of quit for 3 days. And I went out to public and kind of started at the basics again and built myself back up on that situation. But still, nothing of them. Don't have any pictures. I will say I have a huge support group around me that keep pushing me to do stuff. But I've also, like, random people that have heard the story have sent me pictures of deer they've shot and came back like a month or a year later, and they've been better shots than I put on, and the deer are still walking. So I still got hope. I'm gonna go back out there. The guy put cattle where he might have been and where I found that deadhead. And to come back 4 days later, I realized that deadhead was a non-typical. He just broke off half of his side that I had a couple pictures of, and it looked like he got poached from the road. So that kind of sucked, knowing that 2 of my biggest deer are gone. One of them was because of me, and one of them was because some guy can't get permission and do things right and had to poach. But CJ Alexander moment right there. But anyways, yeah, so that was my story. I guess my camera said I'm done talking to you. But yeah, I kind of screwed the bag there. I had a lot of footage built up for that hunt and for that video, but it is what it is, I guess. So, but to hype things up, Gunner got it done during rifle season, and he can go ahead. I'm gonna fix this.
Yeah, I opening weekend I shot a pretty good 9-point, real heavy mature deer. I'd seen him. Pretty sure this is the deer I missed with my bow early season that I talked about. My dad had seen him once with his bow. Dad was running traditional this year. I'm just right outside of his range. Never saw this deer on camera a single time. Never, not once did he step in front of the camera, and he was there. I mean, like I said, we had seen him twice. He wasn't really where we had seen him. It wasn't really his core area. It seemed like where we had the camera. He was I think he was running across the road and back into this closest draw to the road, just kind of in that. I think if he'd have lived another week or whatever, I think we might have got him on camera because he'd have started really looking, but he never, like I said, we never got him on camera a single time. But that morning, I went out to the stand I shot him out of, and I had seen a pretty big buck cross the road. It could have been him, or it could have been another big deer. I don't know. It was fast, and I knew a big deer across the road in that draw. And I'd seen another next year deer. I call him, he's one of our either next year or the year after that, young buck. I saw him out of that stand. And then I also saw a big old half rack that's going to probably be a next year buck too, if he's not a half rack next year. But I mean, so it was a good morning. It was windy. just howling in my face. But it turned out to be a pretty good morning. Saw a bunch of deer. So I decided to go back to the same stand because I wanted to get a better look at that buck that I had seen cross the road. Well, I get there, and this is not a very friendly place to even have a camera, like to strap up a camera and film, because it's in a tripod. So I kind of I rig it up by putting the camera arm around the bottom, kind of where the skirt should be, where the arms are holding up the skirt. I kind of strapped it on there and just went with it. Within an hour, I start seeing deer. I'd kind of gotten in a tad late, not real late, but we had some family stuff going on that day. But I see a doe kind of come out. So the way this draw runs, it runs east to west, and this opening, it's kind of like an alley. It runs north to south, and then there's like a gap, like maybe a 80 to 100 yard gap in between these two draws. So I see these does come out. One first comes out, and she's just looking down in this canyon, and I'm like, what is she looking at? Another doe kind of pops up way above her, up by the road, way up there by the road where I can't shoot. It's too far. And I'm thinking, she's not concerned because of that doe. She's concerned about something else. I don't know what she's concerned about, but she's concerned about something. And I got my camera on her, and I'm just kind of watching her in my binoculars, and I can't see where this buck comes out because he comes out just outside of my binocular like line of sight. And I put my binoculars down, and he's a quarter of the way like across already, and I'm like, oh gosh. He was hauling too. I mean, he was going. I get that camera on, I turn my GoPro on, I get the picture on him, and I'm just in survivor mode right now, trying to get the gun on him as fast as I can because he's not stopping. And there's no reason for him to stop unless he's taking a scrape or he's going to nibble for a second. But I mean, what a lot of these bucks do that go in between these draws, they just are on a mission. They get across there and you don't see them again. And so I was my gun's already up. I had already been prepared for a deer to do that. And he gets to the edge of that clearing. What saved me is I went, I yelled. I screamed, just trying to get him to stop. I don't even think he even heard me. I don't think I'm the one that stopped him. He kind of half stopped and started licking a tree, just like that. And as soon as he stopped, I had it on him. I went, boom. And he was right outside of the camera frame, which sucks because it was literally maybe 5 yards outside the camera frame. Because he had just taken like 3 too many steps. But it was just a crunch time moment. And I shot. And immediately after I shot, he acted like he was hurt. I mean, he just went kind of half like you just took a bullet to the side and just kind of reared up and went into the trees. And I'm sitting there. I mean, I didn't know exactly what buck it is because it happened so fast, but I knew he was a mature buck. And I knew he was a big buck. And I knew he was a shooter. And I'm just like, I think I just smoked that deer. I mean, it was a 15-second encounter. Right. And I'm like, I think I just smoked a giant. I'm like, I smoked him. There's no way I didn't smoke him. I mean, he's about 100 yards, 120 yards. I mean, I broadside. I was like, I just smoked it. So I called Dad and I called Taylor. My dad ended up killing a buck that night too. But I get down. I go over there. I'm like, okay, I know where he went in. I just want to see, if I can see any sort. I mean, it's a rifle. He's either, I'm hunting him with a 300. So I'm like, I'm just going to step where he went in at, see if I can see blood. I'm going to look in the trees. And that's what I did. I found a few drops of blood and I'm like, man, he's not just bleeding like every other deer I've shot with this 300. And I just kind of took a step inside the trees and looked up and he was piled up there. And I kind of froze for a second because I was like, I'm a little early getting down looking for him, but I was like, he's right there. And I know I'm looking at him, and I mean, he's piled up. He's done. I blew him up. I put on almost a perfect shot. And yeah, I start that night off. I decided it'd been a rough season for a lot of different reasons, but
Yeah.
I went and grabbed my grandpa's truck just because I hadn't had real good luck, and I was like, you know what? I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen with his, me driving his truck. It had happened the first night I took his truck out there. So yeah,
That's
got it
cool.
done in G-Paw's truck. Dad got it done as well. He tagged out that night for the first time in 20 years. He tagged out. He's a little sick about it too. He's like, I'm never doing it again. I'm like, what? Tagging out. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm sick. He said, I might not hunt. He said, but I like knowing I could. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, that Kansas trip kind of saved him. And that's a big reason why he killed one, is because he's like, I got a pretty big deer out here, and I'm like, well, you remember we've got Kansas, next week. If you wanted to tag out, you're not going to hunt late season unless we have a big deer somewhere. You just, you know what I mean? It's cold and he won't.
Yeah, but he's like me. Me and him love the snow hunts.
Yeah, he'll go out there, especially if there's a deer to hunt. If there's a deer to hunt, he'll go out there, and if it snows, he would just go out there for the heck of it. But so he shot his, and we doubled up that day. But that deer was a hoss.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He called me on accident, right? So I call him back, and he goes, "Don't tell Gunner," but he shot a big one, and I shot one. I'm going to surprise him. So that was super cool to know beforehand, because then I called Gunner back, and he's like, "What my dad want?" I was like, "Oh, I guess he accidentally called me," and so that was really cool to know that happened. But yeah, Steve had a heck of a year. Shot the one traditional, and then tagged out. I guess I could pop up that picture.
His traditional buck. That's the one he's really, really proud of.
I was gonna do both of them. Yeah, I mean, if you guys follow us, you've seen all these pictures, but I just like to share them. I got to share something because I can't get anything done. I can shoot things, I just can't find them.
What made this one so special is I think he shot one with the traditional before when he was really little, but it was like a doe or something. He may have killed a little buck, but like the buck he shot, that's the buck we doubled up on that night. But he shot a pretty big 8-point with his traditional.
There it is.
That picture doesn't do that deer justice. You got to hold him, and you're just like, wow. I mean, he's got
weighed 230 pounds.
Estimated. He field dressed. He was 190.
190.
But with guts in him, he's over 200. But he that, like I said, when you get to see that deer, I mean, he's just a big 8-point, just a big 8-point. But what made that so special was that's his stand. So there's a few stands that he put up because he calls them like his favorite stand. So like the stand I missed my buck out of with my bow, that's Dad's stand at the New Lease. He put that up on a trail that he felt really lucky on, and it turned out to be a heck of a setup. And then this stand at the Bear that he put up, it's a rut hole. Like, it's not super great early season or even really late, but it is an insane stand for rut. And just because deer just use it as a highway crossing either the field or they're just running up and down the creek, and it's just it's a buck hole. I mean, you're not gonna, most of the deer you see out of that stand's bucks.
Don't be saying that too loud.
But
if someone wasn't paying attention, they heard that.
Well,
mistake, what you just said.
It's a buck stand, but he had missed one out of that stand. I want to say like the week before or something.
Yeah,
he had missed one out of it. Yeah, I mean, a pig spooked that deer, and he rushed the shot with it. I mean, he missed, and he was pretty upset about that. But
Right.
I was like, Dad, give yourself a tad bit of grace, considering this is your first year, hunting with that traditional equipment, since you were a kid. Like give yourself a tad bit of grace. He's like, I know, but I know better than that. But the next
Like
year he shot
years
at,
ago.
yeah. But the next year he shot at, he had a full pass through it, walked 20 yards and fell over. And so that
Yeah.
was his first year since G-Paw passed away too. So that was
Yeah.
a big deal for him. And he called me when I was at work, and that was a big deal to him.
Yeah. If I had if we had to put all of our footage in one year in our stories, it'd be called The Good, the Bad, the Ugly for this year. I mean, it's been unreal. But real quick, I'm gonna take a second and go through some of these comments. Earlier, my uncle said you need to post the piebald spike I shot, and he sent me a picture. Look at this thing. Let me see if I can get it to share. Then he responded with, "I might need some glasses." Where is sharing at?
How did he not know it was a spike?
Here, we'll share the entire screen, and then
Oh,
he got it offline. He said, "I might need some glasses." That's pretty funny. I really thought he shot one all day. And then Zach said, "My best luck so far is I just tried to pick up a roadkill buck this evening." I feel that, Zach. That he said, "My target buck, I can't manage to figure out Mr. Crab's deer out." So he's saying he can't figure out his target buck. He named Mr. Krabs out.
I wonder. Oh.
Gunner's aunt sent him a little heart.
Hi.
Clint Sloan asked how the brown trout are going in the bear.
Any luck on the brown trout and the bear? Well, I wish there were brown trout in the bear. There might be some brown things in the bear, but
there are some brown trout in the bear if you go over by the sewer plant, Pawnee.
Yeah.
And then my dad said, "Show him my next year armadillo." So my dad, I've never seen a guy have hatred towards armadillos like this guy. So I have a camera, and I don't know why, but all the time I get armadillos running by it. So every day I get an armadillo, I send it to him. So it's like 2 or 3 pictures almost a day. So a little family support in here tonight. Love to see it. Yeah, no, we've had a good year, tough year. Like I said, a lot of tough things happen, but I always say if something bad happens, something always good comes out of it. So we'll see what happens. Rut, we might get the second round or the third round. It depends where you are right now. Getting the ones that didn't get bred or some of the fawns.
I'll tell you what, in Kansas, they're already bachelored back up. There were
Well, that's what's
running
weird down here. One of my spots are bachelored up, and other spots I've seen bucks with the does.
Yeah.
So, as seasons moved on, like I said, this is late season, quote unquote. I don't know I'd have to call it late season, postseason. What are some things you guys are doing to kind of get yourself back in the money hole or back to where you can get it done? Kyle, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so like Taylor said, I think my spot's kind of winding down to some degree. Bucks aren't necessarily bachelor back up. Still seeing a little bit of bumping. Like I'll have some does on camera, and then you'll see a buck within a couple minutes or so come through, and then in a few minutes more go by, that buck's gone. He's cruising. He's already pinged on another camera, and I definitely think there's a lot of potential to catch one. Searching for those last few, like you said, younger fawns, yearling type deer that are haven't been bred, or a doe that wasn't bred that's coming back into cycle. Those kind of aspects. I've had some success with that over the years, getting lucky this time of year, but I haven't actually been out in a couple weeks. I say a couple weeks, probably 10 days in Oklahoma or so, but definitely kind of waiting for Bradford to definitely show himself a little more. The pictures that I do have, he's kind of went back more to his nocturnal type setting, and I don't know if I'm going to have an opportunity on that deer this year, but we'll see. Definitely concentrate on the food plots and the food sources late season. Try to make something happen. Get lucky hunting a travel corridor. I'm pretty happy with this season already. If it happens with Bradford, that'd be fantastic, and I'd be stoked. But definitely looking forward to next year as well. I mean, if he's able to make it through, and I don't get an opportunity, or somebody else doesn't get an opportunity at him as well, we'll see what he looks like next year. Hopefully this wasn't his peak. Maybe next year he'll be even bigger.
Wow.
I don't know how a deer could get any wider, but maybe he could throw on a little more mass and
Some eye guards.
and that would be cool. Yeah, some eye guards, but yeah, look to maybe shoot a few does before the end of the year. Stick a few of them with the bow. That'd be cool. But yeah, looking forward to potentially transitioning to waterfowl as well, and got another pheasant hunt coming up in South Dakota Christmas time, so that'll be fun. And then the new year hits, and
There's always a loop.
back on the road for work. So
Yeah. So Gunnar, what are you doing for? Are you still going to hunt? You have a deer down. What's your kind of goal or mindset for the rest of the year?
I'm gonna hunt. We've got a family that we're gonna kill a couple of those for off a couple of our leases. They rely on deer meat, and we've got a lot right now, but I may, kill one or two more, does or something if I can't find a buck. But definitely switching gears a little bit. Food's gonna, you got a good food source, you're gonna have, deer right now. Food's gonna become king again, and nutrition, and them trying to get them, the later you get, the more targeted towards, food they're gonna get. But
Right. Especially if we get some of that cold weather pushing through, they'll really hit the floods.
So I mean that food's gonna start becoming king here pretty quick if it isn't already in some of your places. I don't know. I mean, if it's your fancy and you want to get real, whatever, you can, go in on some, these bucks, because they'll start getting spookier, like we've said.
Yeah.
If you want to start making moves on them, fine with me. It's whatever, I'll probably not move into a bedding area that, this year, but I don't have a caliber buck right now that makes me want to take that kind of risk right now anyway. A lot of the bucks I have, they could go another year and I wouldn't be upset, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of play it by, and I can't trust the cameras all the time, evidence the buck I killed with my rifle, but I'll still hunt because I like it, I love it. So I'm still going to hunt. But yeah, definitely transition to really looking for maybe hunting food plots, or if you're feeding corn, that corn's going to get real hot if it gets real cold.
Yeah.
Grain, stuff like that. And then, even natural food right now. If you don't have any other food, you don't have food plots or corn, be looking for that natural food the best you can. Anything, they're going to be eating it. So.
Yeah, so just like they kind of said, I'm gonna sit back. I have a buck that I'll probably go shoot. He's coming in on the regular. He's just an old. I mean, nothing too crazy, but it gets me excited. Like I said, that's all that matters, right? So, and I kind of need that, or kind of want that to finish out my year. At least have something down, and I can kind of go through the process of what happened and make a long film. I did some work this year on my filming. I'll say that I amped it up. Got some stuff that I'm very excited about, and then I stubbed my toe with that shot placement. But I really think, like you said, these deer are moving to food sources, and if there's something that me and my family are good at, it's putting in a good food source and feeding them. So I'll either hunt around feeders or go into a feeder or around food plots. I have one food plot I can cover with my bow. The other ones are 6-7 acres, maybe 5 acres, somewhere in there. So they're kind of hard to cover because the deer come out everywhere. So like like for instance, the other night I had 15 deer and 2 bucks around me. So, and that's on one side. So there's a lot of deer out there, right? So I'll probably I'll probably go to a place where they kind of get off the field and move to the feeder, and kind of hunt there. Like I said, it's about to get cold. They're going to move that grain hard. I'm going to go the food sources hard. I got hogs moving in on me on a property, so me and my dad are going to go out there and try to take care of them. Hopefully soon. Got a bunch of coyotes this year, and I love coyote hunting, so I'm definitely going to go and take it out on them and get some footage of that. Hopefully, if we can keep pushing, I think the footage alone quality this year. A couple of the harvests haven't been on is for the, like Cosdale. He had 5 seconds to shoot, and just like Lee with why do I always forget when I talk about him?
One.
Yeah, with Seek One, he said in a couple of videos, like, we're hunters first, second, we're filmers. So we're gonna take the shot, make it lethal versus not have the opportunity. So so we got some good footage. We missed some opportunities, but I think overall we're in the step for the right direction there. But so I'm gonna, I know I'm spinning circles, but definitely hunt food sources. Another thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go check my public land cameras. Haven't checked them in about a month and a half, and I hope something is kind of moving down there to try to winter. There's water, some good.
I checked them for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, if you can find them, you can have them. But good food sources down there, water. I have to boat into, so it's not like every guy can just walk back there. And if they can walk back there, and you see me, I'll gladly give you a ride back to wherever you walked from, because that's incredible. But so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do this year. That's kind of what I'm gonna fish out. Oh, and hey, can't forget the old catfishing bell. That thing's gonna be ringing here pretty quick. So I'm excited to get on the water. Super windy right now. Might have tried this weekend, but it's supposed to be like 10 miles per hour, 15 mile per hour winds with like 20 gust, and we have north and south lakes by me, and that's white happen weather. So won't go test that out again. Zach asks, other than plots, you think red oaks and browse are going to be the good to key in on? So basically asking, do we think red oaks and browse are going to be good to key on for late season? Absolutely. Food source is what's going to make you or break you late season. I mean, they don't have anything to sniff, anything to breed, other than the occasional doe, right? And so they're going to want to recover, and the best way for them to recover is to eat. And they have to eat. So yeah, absolutely. Red oaks and browse. We have a lot of listeners from different areas, so I don't know what you'd key on in your specific areas. But and so definitely, I mean, I'm sure there's research somewhere to look it up. Like I said, I don't know about y'all's specific areas, but
I mean, heck, anything. There's oats and stuff that grow late, that are in there. I mean, if you get a fire come through or something, that new growth of even new growth greenbrier, they like that, anything new growth, anything kind of green buds, anything like that, key on.
Did you know they'll eat poison ivy during the winter? I found that out the other day. I didn't know that one.
Persimmons too, if you got them.
Yeah, but they're pretty much fallen. I think, isn't there like a winter pear or something? I've seen a couple times that they fall later in the season, and the people that I know that have those trees say that is like drugs to the deer. They circle those trees. I don't know what it's called because I've never really had them and looked into it.
I watched a doe smoke a crab apple one day. Do not know really why. First time I ever seen it, but I did see it with my own 2 eyes, and I think I videoed it. And Taylor's gonna get this SD card so he can go digging for it.
Yeah,
I watched a doe just smoke one. But do you want me to tell my story of the Kansas buck, or do you want to wait?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. Yeah, I totally forgot about that one.
We can wait if you want. If you wanted me to put it on here, I can talk about it.
Just give us a short spill, since that one's on video. We can give the long story on the video.
Yeah. So basically, we'd seen The buck I shot was running with the bigger buck the night before, and it was after shooting light, and I couldn't get on him anyway, and decided to be the good ethical hunter and walk out of there and go after him the next morning. And we got there that morning, and this group of 4 does that we had been seeing, they came over the hill and saw us because we didn't walk in pitch black because we didn't really know where these bucks were going to be, but we came in just right where you could kind of see because we didn't want to blow them out of there. We were kind of creeping in. And these 4 does were just on top of the tallest hill imaginable when we're walking. And I look up there, and Dad's like, "Well, there's the 4 does."
Yeah.
Like, dang it! And they were headed towards where we thought these bucks were. And we were like, "Well, we've got 2 options here. We can sit here, let them walk off, and probably run when they can't see us, or try to cut them off to where they run back where they came from. And if the bucks are down in this draw we think they're in, they don't get blown out." So we're like, you know what? Dad's like, he's like, "I've done it several times. It's worked out for me. Let's go cut them off." So we did, and they ran back the way they came, and they didn't. And then so we top over the hill and look down into the draw we thought these bucks were in, and I see 2 bodies out on the edge of this property. And I'm like, well, there they are. So we sit down. They stick their heads up, and it's 2 does. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, because I just thought it was the 2 bucks that were running together the night before. And then this buck ends up coming back out of that draw. He kind of half checks him, but he wasn't really pushing him. He was just kind of there. And I'm trying to get on him. So this makes the story even better. I dropped my rangefinder. I left it the night before out in the field. We ended up finding it after I shot this deer. So Dad's like, well, better make sure I bring my rangefinder. And guess who didn't have his rangefinder? So we didn't have a rangefinder. And they were every bit of 350, 400 yards. So you can see that was a complication. So we pull up the Onyx app, and we're like using that rangefinder on the Onyx. Like, how close can we get? All we have to do is be kind of just close. We can just get close. I can be good enough to where I can kill this deer. And we estimated he's about 350, 400 at the most. I'm trying to get on him with my 300, and Dad hands me a G-Paw's gun and cranks it to 400. He had built that gun for this trip, so Dad was carrying it, I was carrying his 300. He hands me that gun, and he cranks it up to 400. And so he's like, "Let it eat if you get on him fast enough." Well, I'm trying to get on him, and he drops down in the bottom of this woodlot. But this woodlot fingers back towards us. So we thought maybe he's going to pop out walking towards us. And that's exactly what he did. We're looking for him like, dadgummit, are we going to have to sit here, all day and wait for this buck to get up? Because we were afraid he bedded in there. And he wasn't, because that's what they'd been doing. They'd just been first light bedding and not getting up till last 15 minutes. That's just what all these deer were doing. And if they were out in the middle of the open, they were sprinting to their bed. I mean, they were not sticking around. He ends up popping out, walking right at us. And then we were like, well, he's 250, 300 right now. Dad cranks that, we cranked that scope, first we cut the distance when he dropped. Then he pops up, and we were like, he's about 250, 300. So Dad cranks to 300, and it's like, don't aim high, make sure you bury it. He's facing us, might I add you. And he's kind of caught us because we're not in the greatest of spots, but it's our last morning. We were making a play. I put it on his white, squeeze that trigger, and he drops like a sack, but just drops. And I don't see him drop because I shoot, and it's just like a boom. So I shoot, and by the time I recover and can see, he's just not there. And Dad's like, smoked him. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, he dropped, he smoked him. So, I shot a deer facing me, and we ended up ranging him at 280. I shot a deer facing me at 280 yards in the neck. Yeah. Those are the type of guys I make fun of, and I did it. So,
yeah, you guys, I mean, long story short, you guys, I mean, we both had to crank it out in Kansas to find even a buck. So,
yeah, we'd seen That was those two were our fifth bucks the entire trip. We were there from Tuesday to Sunday, and we'd seen 3 in one day. So we'd seen bucks on 2 of our days, 2 days.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's like when I was up there. I saw $4. One of them was no, I lied. I saw 5. One of them was a spike at 20 yards. One was a 6-point at like 100 yards, and the other 3 are the 3 in the video I shot. And that
Mhm.
was rough hunt. But we got it done. Coming back 2 out of 2 tags in Kansas. I mean, you can't complain there. So yeah. But real quick before we end it, thank you guys for staying long and hearing our stories and commenting. We like doing these lives and being able to interact with everyone. But since season's kind of gone on, we kind of kicked back on the podcast. We were all spread out, so it's kind of hard to travel with everything and depend on good Wi-Fi and all that. So it's kind of, what do? Do you try to get good footage and haul all your stuff, or do you worry about getting footage and kind of kick the podcast to the side until everyone gets back to their home place, right? So we kind of kicked back, had some stuff happen. So it kind of just took a break from not really a break. We just kind of took a pause from the podcasting, and because we have a bunch of great ideas, but right in the middle of the season, you can't tie those ideas down. But here we are. We're back at it. We're super excited. We have a really cool episode or new series that we are going to start. Something that I what kind of brought it up to me was back in the day. What was it called? I want to say is Real Trees, or maybe I can't remember exactly the show name. But growing up, my dad watched it, and at the end, they always had a kid that shot their first deer on there telling their story, and always said a huge congratulations, or they had someone that shot a bigger deer on there. And and I think a lot of these people, or it was always like a local guy, right? So my brain started ticking, and I was like, there's locals and everywhere that shoot this giants, and you always see their pictures online year after year. I mean, I as soon as I thought of it, I was like, man, this would be so cool if we can make this an episode. So now we're going to actually take it away from this an episode. We're going to make it its own series. It's going to be in its own little playlist on YouTube, but we're going to call it Local Legends. Super excited about this one. We're going to get people. I mean, people are like, well, local, does that mean local to you guys? Well, no, local. I mean, Kansas has a local guy that does it. Alaska has a local guy. I mean, that's just the broad title. Excuse me. Is everyone has a local that they know that does this, right? So like we did one with Jeff Booth. If you guys are from Oklahoma, you see his name. That's kind of what's going to be like. We're going to kind of see how they got started in the outdoors. Tell their deer harvest stories of this year or last year, whatever year they harvested their biggest one to date. Kind of give us some stories of growing up, see what they do, how they did it, how they got to where they are, if they have sponsors or their own platform, and get their broad story. And we're gonna put a whole series of this together. So we actually have 2 started. One's with Carson Heskett, shot 187-inch unofficial scored deer in Oklahoma with his bow. He's around Gunner's age, so what, 24?
Yeah, right around there.
He's 23, 24. And then we had another one. Come on, Christopher Hammond. I followed this guy for years. It's like Jeff Booth. I know him because I follow him on Facebook, but they don't know who I am. So it's kind of funny when I got on there because he'd be like, yeah, I did this. And I was automatically, talking about it. So it's kind of funny seeing these people. But I do want to show you guys before we jump off here our intro for it. So we got a new intro made. And also, if you guys know someone that like kind of describes what we just talked about, please DM us and let us know who it is, and we'll look into it. I know there's 3 of us, but everyone knows someone. So where I just had it popped up. This is when you need like 3 screens to have everything pulled up. All right. Present, share screen. Right. All right, here it is. Let me pull it over here. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
We're gonna act like we've never worked. Well. All right, so we're gonna have technical difficulties in the last minute of our. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick and get this going. You guys could add a couple 2 cents about what you think about the series, so it doesn't make it look awkward.
I think it'll be cool just getting, we're not necessarily after the Sequins of the world or the Michael Waddell's of the world. We're looking for that guy that, might not always, get seen, but everyone around him knows, he's killing big deer, killed a big deer. Those types of guys too, we're looking for. So
Absolutely. And I like the different geographical regions and stuff like that. Like Taylor said, I mean, it's not just going to be centered around people that we know directly. I mean, it can be anybody on here knows somebody, whatever, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, wherever, Texas, doesn't matter. I mean, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be centered around just deer hunting either. I mean, from any aspect, that would be pretty cool.
Well, I thought he was going to start it. We'd also like to, in the course of talking to these people, kind of let them share what makes them successful. Maybe they say something you hadn't thought of before. Or, you're like,
Sure.
oh, I hadn't thought. You know what I mean? I hadn't thought about that. Taking that strategy or something. People are learning every day. I know I learn something new every day in the woods or watching a video or hearing a certain guy shot a deer or shot an elk or whatever. I'm always trying to learn how to be more successful because, I don't know. It's fun. The whole thing's fun. So
For sure. It started for a minute. There you go. There's no sound though.
I thought he's back.
There was no sound.
No.
What about now?
There is always a local hunt that seems to always get it done year after year. They tend to use up the majority of their PTO during the month of November. They usually spend more time sitting in a tree than they do at home during the rut. During this time, their Little Debbie, Red Bull, and jerky consumption quadruples for the year. When success hits, you'll find their picture on Facebook stating Sweet November. Welcome to our podcast series called Local Legends. In today's episode, we're going to hear how a local legend repeatedly finds success and the story of their harvest. Now here's your host, Taylor Smith and Gunnar Womack.
No, I'm gonna remove I'm gonna stop sharing my cam. But can y'all hear me?
Yeah, buddy.
So I have 2 versions of that. Don't worry, Kyle. I got you in one too.
No, it's all good, man.
I figured if you're traveling and you couldn't be on, so I had the guy send me one version and I cut you out. So when you're not on, it wouldn't be awkward. And then when you're on, it wouldn't be awkward too. So I have 2 versions of that one. So real quick, before we get off here, Jake said, what's the best spotlight for deer hunting? Oh, I don't know. I've never done that. I know you have a few times, Jake, so you should know what to use because I know you do it all the time. And he lives in, I think, Veneta, if anyone's here knows a game warden. So,
and he has a mowing business, so it should be pretty easy to nail down.
Yeah, and he lives in town. So, anyways, I'm not on here. My camera died. You guys, thanks for listening. If you stayed the whole time, if you haven't, still thanks for listening. This will be put up for this week's podcast. This is Taylor, the guy that has no face. And this is Gunnar, and this is Kyle. So we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you guys in the new series next week. And you guys stay safe. God bless, and go have fun.
Yep. See you guys.